check this out. This is the N-Gage, and it only cost you $300. That or your parents, $300. So you come home and you, hey, let me get an N-Gage, let me get an N-Gage. And guess what? It's two birds in one stone because it doubles as a phone. And your parents are saying, guess what? We don't have to buy this kid a phone. We just have to buy this kid an N-Gage, and he doesn't have to get a Game Boy, and he doesn't have to get a phone. That's right, folks. This phone has it all. This console has it all. How could it have gone all wrong? Well, you know what? That's a question that I really want to know myself. But, first thing I got to do is get this thing out of the box. And that's proving to be very difficult. Because, you know what? Oh my God. You see, this was the first problem. First of all, if you don't know what this is, I'm going to give a little brief description of this. This phone, game console, whatever you want to call it, it can be one or the other, or both, was a 104 megahertz ARM processor cell phone / gaming console, which provided the end user great, somewhat decent games and phone service all in one. The phone / gaming console had an MP3 player, a radio, and Bluetooth, all of which functioned pretty well. Radio had the loudest speaker, and it had the option to record onto an MMC card, and the Bluetooth paired with any headset that I tried, so I was no complaints there as far as compatibility goes. So that's what this is. It has, as you can see, a little gamepad or a keypad here that you could, dial your number with or play the games using the controllers. But, now we're going to talk about some of the problems. Problems? What problems? How could there be problems? I mean, this console had it all. I mean, if anybody had problems with this console, they just were too stupid to use it. And, I'm not even going to be, I got to be corrected. No, you were an idiot. If you didn't know and realize that this thing was great, then you just didn't know how to operate it. Because when I owned this phone, there was something called a T-Mobile prepaid card. And anybody who had the technological know-how to know what a T-Mobile prepaid card was, you could put the prepaid card in there, and then the guys in T-Mobile, they allowed a port on the server to be open, and it allowed you to get free internet with like $1 balance on this prepaid card. And if anybody probably watching this video did that, they know exactly what I'm talking about here, obviously, and they knew how great this was. I remember when I had this, I did exactly that. I got a T-Mobile prepaid card, I put $1 on it, opened the browser, and oh shit, guess what? I had internet for free. They don't even have that today. They have unlimited internet, but you don't have $1 of that a month, do you? No. So guess what? Already this was freaking better than what it was now. All of the features that it had on this thing that was incredible. As I said before, it had the loudest radio speaker that I ever heard to this day. You could record it directly onto an MMC card. And, it just... I'm so sorry that people couldn't figure out how great this thing was. So let me go ahead and power this thing on here. It's done by taking it out of the clamshell box like that, and then letting it slide over. Then you go ahead and pick it up like here, and you press this little button that's over here. It's the power button. You press that, and you're going to wait for the screen to light up. At this point, you're like, oh my God. Wow. This was worth all $300. But the same reason why this was so good was the same reason that it failed. And let me tell you why. Because look at this. We see this console, as great as it was from all the features that I mentioned, there was a problem. People who were buying this were buying it for people who were playing the Game Boy. And a lot of those people were really young. So when you're a kid in middle school, high school, whatever school you're in, guess what? You now have to operate this device that had the Symbian OS that was a little complicated for somebody who's just used to putting in a cartridge and clicking the on button. You had to operate through a menu. There was a lot of buttons you had to press. There was all sorts of things that people really didn't know about back then, especially when they were younger. Nowadays kids they're grown on iPads. Back then, you had like a black and white screen. You put the cartridge in and flicked the toggle switch. You just blew on it maybe a few times, and that was it. But this was it. Back in this time period, I remember, and firsthand, when I had this, I was like the first person to have this in my entire school when I had this. And people were like, oh, this is complicated. And as I said, the same reasons that made this great was the same reason that it failed. And of course, there were some other things that were kind of, not something that, preferable. And I'll show you one of them right here. So let's say, you're in lunch, and, you're playing a game, and you say, I'm tired of this game, I want to play another one. Normally, there's a slot, right? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? No. Is it here? Nope. Is it here? No. Obviously not. They expected you to take out a game here, to go ahead and clip, I'm doing this with one hand, clip out this back cover, and there's the game, right? Oh, shit. Let me just take this out. Wait a minute. How am I going to take this out? You have to actually, they expected you to pop this battery out like an asshole, and then over here, slide this cart. You know what? Yeah. And then clip that little plastic pin down, and then take the cartridge out. Meanwhile, your elbow knocked over someone else's juice box. It's going all over the floor. The teacher is yelling at you. This looks like you're freaking, I don't know what you're doing here. I mean, just look at this. And then sometimes, I remember one day, one of my classmates tried to put in a game. He put the battery in like this. The cartridge was in over here, and he was like trying to jam it in. The pins were getting all bent. And this is the problem here. You can't tailor a gaming system to a younger generation and then expect them to do freaking brain surgery and like, oh, let me just put it, just freaking put a slot in there. Why didn't anybody redesign this and make a better one? And guess what? They actually did. They called this the QD. This was the N-Gage QD. Can you believe it? They actually made another one to try to rectify these problems. It had a proper MMC slot, as you can see here, behind this little flap here. If I can, it's actually a lot easier than it looks. It's just I'm holding the camera here. It's behind this little plastic thing, this rubberized thing over here. It's just freaking, you gotta put, there it is. Alright, so there's the slot. Wait, there's the slot. And the problem is, in order to do this, and this always happens, whether it's, the Vita, the PSP Vita, the Slim, when they redesign something, they always freaking take stuff out because they do it to protect themselves, these companies. They take out the OLED screen, they take this out, they take that out, just because they realize the console may be failing, it's not going to rejuvenate itself, so just to be careful, we're going to make it ergonomically better and correct, and make all some of these features addressed, but we're also going to take out all the features that didn't catch on. And unfortunately, they took out some of the best stuff. I liked having a little center button that had enter key. As I said, well, I didn't say it before, but I'll say it now. You see these touchpads over here? There was a center button. There's a center button over here. If I can get this thing over here. There was a center button right in the middle of here. You could press enter. That was an enter. But guess what? On this one, they turned it into a 4-directional and had the center over here. That was annoying. I didn't want to go, I want to select something on the options menu. You could easily just gone like that. Took it out. What else did they do? Let's see. They took out the MP3 player. Why? They took out the FM player. Why? To make it cheaper. And one last problem. You see this headphone jack over here? This was horrible. This was horrible. The white was the mic, the black was the headphone port. But too bad they weren't regular 3.5mm jacks, so you could just put any regular headphone in it. What they did, they expected you to get this proprietary Nokia headphones that, when you're younger, they break. The cord's very thin, it's brittle, they snapped. And then you try to put one of those in there, it didn't work. They made you go to like Radio Shack, get some stupid adapter that allowed you to work. And then you had like this crazy setup that had like an adapter here, and then the headphones would connect to that adapter. The parents didn't want to drive to Radio Shack, and in the end, people just got sick of, not being able to have a headphone port on this properly. And, again, that's what happens when you try to cross something without knowing your market, and that's why this failed. But, as I said before, it was a great system for those who knew how to use it. I knew how to use it, and I had a great time with it. I was playing Tomb Raider, Tony Hawk, all these great games in 3D, Spider-Man, tons of games. So, you know what? That's all I really have to say about this, and I really appreciate you guys looking at this video. Thanks for caring if you do. Thanks for listening if you did. If not, it's on you, folks. Take care.